Wingman Joker, thank you for listening to this channel and please support the channel. Please subscribe. Chapter 181, A Test. The visitor was none other than his grandfather, Calvin, who entered the room followed by a young man and a short young woman who had serious looks on their faces. "Oh, Grandpa, come sit down." Victor, who was sitting casually, invited them in as he openly checked the woman, pretty, but not a lot. "Alex, go prepare some coffee, I am still a bit sleepy," he ordered as he secretly activated his disguise skill to hide their conversation in case someone was eavesdropping. Calvin didn't speak, he just sat on the couch facing Victor as the young man and woman stood behind him with their hands behind their backs. They seemed to be military personnel, no more than that. Warriors, highly trained ones. Victor could tell from the way they walked. "So you were ready for a talk? Did you believe me at last about the existence of players?" Victor asked casually, causing a racket in the back as Alex clumsily dropped the coffee box to the floor. "Ah, sorry." She quickly began to clean things up. Calvin glared at her for a second, then looked back at his grandson. "I have things to ask about first. Was it you yesterday?" he asked. "Me? What?" Victor asked as he casually glanced around in a strange way as if an imaginary fly was buzzing around him. "The one behind the terror." Calvin didn't continue as Victor suddenly stood up from his seat and hurried to the window and opened it, then took a rocket launcher out of thin air and fired at a white civilian helicopter that had been flying at an unnaturally low altitude in the distance near the waterfall. "Su, boomm, shua-ah-nnr." The explosion sound rocked the room as the two warriors behind Calvin put their hands on their hidden guns. They were prepared to attack Victor and arrest him if not for Calvin's signal to stand down, saving their lives from Alex, who was about to take out her own spear and kill them in one swing. "Sorry, I seem to have upset too many people recently. I need to be very vigilant all the time," Victor said as he grabbed his phone and sent a message to Kai to deal with this and find out who rented that helicopter. Not one of his current enemies was stupid enough to attack him publicly. If not for a fate warning about the danger in the helicopter, he might have been severely injured. Those guys had explosives. He also warned Lily to stay vigilant. Were you the one who did the explosions yesterday too?" Calvin asked again as he kept looking out of the window at the smoke from the helicopter that crashed into the lake. This was a confirmation. But he still needed to ask. "Oh, that one. Yes, some idiots seem to have kidnapped my Alex, probably to sell him to some gay brothel. You know how cute he looks sometimes," Victor said, causing Alex to blush and quickly turn around to continue preparing the coffee. Thankfully her father liked coffee, so she has long learned how to prepare it perfectly. "Kidnapping?" Calvin asked as he looked at Alex, a little unconvinced. "Yes." "Ah, Alex, I forgot to ask you, how the hell did they kidnap you so quickly? Aren't you supposed to fight back?" Victor asked, turning to Alex. "Young master, I was preoccupied with some luggage that I was holding, and that man was at a slightly higher level than me. He asked me about the time first, so I let my guard down and let him poison me. My power was drained and I couldn't fight efficiently as he was too close, and that allowed him to constrain me," she explained, a little ashamed of herself. Calvin only focused on the word level, confirming his guess that Alex was a player too. "Oh, be careful next time. I will tell Margaret to punish you later," Victor said, making her flinch as he turned to face his grandfather. While the police sirens rang from below. "The police will probably be here very soon, so we should probably do this later." Calvin began to speak with some annoyance. "No, they won't. The police have already been dealt with," Victor stated as he relaxed in his chair, reminding Calvin of his grandson's identity. His subordinates were giving Victor and Alex some nasty glares, especially the young woman. There was some disdain and hatred. She was inspecting Victor closely, trying hard to find out from where he got that rocket launcher, which was now thrown like a used toy in the corner. Then, the second question. "What the F***ck was that pill you gave me?" Calvin asked. "Oh, I forgot to warn you about the side effects. Don't worry, the increased libido is only temporary. Your body has regained its youth, so it is acting like an adolescent for a while. It will be okay in a week or two. Some of the wrinkles on your face are already disappearing. Must warn grandma not to let any new hot girl hook you up," Victor explained as he looked at the young woman. "What is it? Where did it come from?" Calvin asked, totally ignoring his grandson's totally inappropriate remarks. "Those are questions that I can't answer at the moment. Don't worry, it's nothing bad." Victor flatly refused to answer. Calvin didn't push it. Then, now to the main question. "Why did you tell me about the players? What do you want in return?" Calvin reached the main point as his subordinates inspected Victor. Do you believe in their existence now? Victor asked. I do, it all fits. But some of my colleagues are still hesitant. He flatly stated. Is that why you got those two ancient martial arts practitioners? You want to test me? Victor asked, making the two tense up. He could see that their strength was about 35, very strong for humans. We wanted to test your strength, Calvin stated. He was not surprised by Victor's knowledge. Those two had practiced some very powerful arts that had been found by their organization in some very old ruins as they traced back the hidden power's origins. They are not bad, but I don't play with kids, Alex. You do it, kick their asses. Victor ordered Alex, who was casually placing 2 mugs of steaming quality coffee on the table. Okay, Alex nodded and looked at the two. Who wants his ass kicked? She asked, making the young woman laugh as the man glared at Alex, who was a little thin and didn't have the build of a warrior. Mario, you do it, Calvin said to the aggressive young man who glared at Alex as if he was going to eat her. Prepare to be smacked into a paste. Shall we head to the parking lot? Ah, he asked, not realizing that Alex already started. She just grabbed his shoulder, pushed him to the ground, and used her delicate foot to kick his ass at a very wrong angle, nearly smashing something into a paste and making him scream. Alex stopped in time to spare the world another eunuch. Is this the best you got? Alex asked casually, making Calvin a little surprised. Mario, who was now shedding tears on the ground, was not weak at all. He could take on 3 strong men easily by himself. I am next, the young woman said as she glared hatefully at Alex, not giving Mario a chance to ask for another try. Yan Shui, be careful. Calvin said. Yes sir, she said as she carefully moved toward Alex, who was inspecting her disdainfully. Is he a player? Calvin asked Victor for confirmation. Yes, a very powerful one, Victor explained as Yan Shui launched a kick heading straight to a spot between Alex's slender legs. She was intending to avenge her partner. Alex didn't move as the kick landed. Nothing happened. I am telling you, my Alex might appear a little weak, but he is a man with balls of steel. Victor commented as Alex suddenly realized that a man in her place would not stay standing. Never mind. She quickly grabbed Yan Shui's leg and professionally twisted it, making her trained body twist and stagger to fall facing the ground. But as a warrior, Yan Shui quickly used her arms to push her body off the ground, then make an air flip and strangle Alex from the back. That was the plan. However, the moment she put her hands on the ground, she felt a kick on her ass, sending her sliding across the room's floor until she disappeared behind the bathroom's open door, hitting the vintage copper bathtub inside. They could tell from the ringing sound. Sorry young master, I might have hit her a little too hard. Alex said as Calvin ran to the bathroom while Maria scrambled to her feet. No, he was still a Mario. The throbbing pain in his crotch proved that. It's okay, that girl was giving me some nasty looks before. I am sure she is lesbian. How can a girl hate me? Victor added, making Alex freeze for a second, not understanding her young master's train of thoughts. Calvin returned, carrying the girl in with some care. She was unconscious. Or pretending to be. Who is she? A daughter of one of your dead friends? Victor asked as he watched Mario run to his boss and help him lay Yan Shui on the couch. Yes, she is the daughter of a very dear friend. He also died a few years ago on duty. Calvin said coldly. Oh, it's like the case with my mother's old fiancé. Then how about I marry her to fulfill your dream? She is cute enough to be a bed-warming maid. Victor said, earning himself glares from Calvin and Mario, who might have some feelings for this lesbian. No need, Calvin said coldly. This was just a test. There was no need for such force, he added to Alex, who looked away, not caring. She only cares about Victor's opinion. Your girl was the one who kicked my Alex's crotch first, Victor interjected. If Alex was not man enough, he would have been in the hospital right now. He added as Alex kept looking away, she was not man enough. Quote. Calvin wanted to say something but chose not to. Victor was right and Yan Shui was wrong here. But she was one of the few who really loathed the hidden oligarchies. Her entire family was killed by them. She might have got a little agitated and annoyed by Victor's arrogance and total disregard for civilian lives. Fine, Victor said, as he took a pill and stuffed it in Yan Shui's mouth before Mario, who was preparing a glass of water for her, could stop him. This is a healing pill. She should be fine in a few minutes, Victor said as he returned to his seat. Calvin gestured to Mario to stand down, as he glared at Victor and returned to his seat after making sure that the girl's breathing returned to normal. Now, let's talk. What do you want? Calvin asked seriously. I want nothing, Victor said as he drank a sip of coffee and gave the anticipating Alex a perfect sign. Then why did you tell me about the existence of players? Calvin asked coldly, transforming from an idiot grandfather to a sharp general. It's not me, let me phrase it like this. There is a very secretive organization that instructs me to contact you. They have some dark sh*t on me, some really dark sh*t. Victor said, lowering his voice and causing Kelvin to arch closer to him to listen. They call themselves the Fragrant Shadow, headed by a one-eyed demon called Alpha, Victor said and turned to look at the window making sure no one was listening, even Alex believed him there for a second. I was just instructed to be a middleman, I will not have anything to do with anything you deal with, I don't dare to tell you any more than I already did, or I would be breaking family rules, and they will know. He added, seriously, didn't you already tell me about the player? Calvin asked. Telling one person is okay, as long as you keep your mouth shut. I am walking on a knife's edge here, bending the rules slightly, so after introducing you to those guys, I am not responsible for anything. You also forget that I told you anything. Victor repeated as Alex was getting curious about her young master's plan. What Fragrant Shadow? The brothel girls team that Alpha was working on. Fragrant Shadow? What are they? What do they want? Calvin asked as he watched Victor take out a paper. I don't know, a very mysterious organization. They only met me once trying to recruit me, but I refused. So they instructed me to contact you instead. They have a prophecy about the near collapse of our world where all the people would become players, like that would ever happen. Victor said, there is truly such a prophecy and it was the reason many powers chose to hide themselves and conserve their powers. Take this, it is a website they set up. You can contact them through it. They told me to tell you that they mean no harm, just wanting to exchange information. Victor added as he gave the paper with a strange scribble on it, is this an internet website? Can they look like this? It is a dark web website. Yan Shui regained her consciousness and was now sitting interjected. Yan Shui, are you okay? Mario asked. Yeah, she said as she glared at Victor, she could still feel his fingers on her lips. Is that all? Calvin asked as he relaxed back. Pretty much, and don't mention me ever to anyone, I don't want the family to punish me, my mother might be implicated too, Victor warned, making Calvin flinch a little and then nod. Our meeting here is over, Victor declared as he glanced at the door with a smirk. Calvin wanted to ask Victor some more questions, but from his grandson's attitude he clearly knew that he would not reveal any more information, so he stood up. I will see what I can do, he told Victor as he headed to the door, giving Alex one last look before opening the door and getting surprised by his son's ugly face behind it. Father, Larry said in surprise, are you here too? Did you also come to kiss some ass? Ahm, to see young Victor. Larry quickly corrected himself, earning himself a smack to the head that sent him to the ground. Looking at his other sons who were there too, Calvin sighed and stepped forward as his two subordinates sneaked past him as if they were some waiters. Go home, we will not do business with Victor or his family, that's final. He added as he strode out, did you hear me? He yelled, making his sons quickly but reluctantly follow him as they glanced back at the suite's closed door. Chapter 182, Real Estate Investment 101. The real estate agency was the biggest in town. It was made for the service of the richest VIPs as was evident from the grand entrance protected by muscular guards that would scare away anyone coming here to make trouble. On one clear day, a black extra-luxurious car parked in front of this grand entrance. And from within an arrogant young master wearing cool sunglasses stepped down after his somewhat pretty driver opened the car's door for him. Is this really the biggest agency in town? It seems somewhat lacking, the young master asked as he looked at the building in disdain. Making the guards wonder if this one was a genuine customer or just here to make trouble, isn't he a bit young to buy a villa from this place? Did his filthy rich parents send him to do their chores as commoner parents send their children to do unreasonable tasks? Yes, young master. We can't expect much from such a poor town, although the owner of this place must be extremely cheap, I made sure to check it twice. The villa you told me about is being auctioned by this place, the driver explained in a rehearsed script, earning herself a glare from the guards. Whatever, I hope we get it quickly as this young master has better things to do. The young master said as he quickly headed to the entrance, totally ignoring the guards, who chose not to interfere. They are only here to show off their muscles. The cheap owner wasn't paying them enough to risk upsetting a real young master by mistake. Just as the young master stepped into the hall, He was greeted by a tall woman who wore a tall professional dress and adorned her thin white face with pointy glasses that fit snugly on her hooked nose. An archetypal mean real estate agent. Young master, welcome. I am the manager here. How can I help you? The woman who recognized the car the moment it turned the corner near the agency and could smell the expensive custom-made perfume on the handsome young master quickly bowed and asked. Well, this young master is looking to buy that villa, the one on top of the waterfall. The young master said, ah, the golden villa designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. The manager asked, yes, that's the one. The young master said as he smiled, causing the manager to be a little charmed. She quickly shook her head, he is younger than her children. Young master, this villa is set to be auctioned next week. We can't sell it directly. The manager patiently explained. Set your price, he said casually as his white-gloved driver took out a checkbook and handed it to him. Young master, I can't, you have to understand, the manager was a little troubled. I am not here to understand. Fine, take me to the villa then, I want to have a look. He demanded. Ah, that is possible, but I need to ask my boss, she said just as the door of the boss's office opened and a stunning guy with purple hair walked out with the fat boss. Young Master Victor, congratulations on your purchase, the golden villa itself would be happy if it could feel. It would be smiling if it had a face. Your purchase of it is the sole reason for its existence. The boss boot-liked Victor openly like a dog. Yeah, I expect the documents to be sent to me this afternoon, as I have to leave town tonight. Victor said as he almost bumped into the young master standing stubbornly in front of him. Opening his eyes wide at the sight of this idiot, he was shocked. Damn, why does he have to bump into this bastard here? It was none other than the one and only Sebastian Silver who was acting as a young master. Sure, he was putting on sunglasses, and his face appeared slightly different under disguise, but Victor easily recognized him. I thought the villa was not for sale. Sebastian asked loudly, as he glared at the embarrassed manager then at the boss, before finally stopping at Victor who was checking him in surprise before looking at his driver intensely. Hannah von Richter. Level, 15, abnormal status, bloodline lock 100% locked poison touch curse. Class, alchemist, authority, 5, strength, 5640ths, intelligence, 5723rds, agility, 3710ths, luck, 1024ths, charm, 1030ths, order, 25, skills, self-heal, S, perfect brew, S, instant pill formation, S, survivor, S, alchemy, A, plants preparation, A, drug evaporator, A, poison resistance, A, sword arts, A, staff arts, B, dagger arts, B, backstab, B, perfect timing, B, quick steps, C, basic charm, C, paralyze resistance, C, burn resistance, C, instant death resistance, D, medicine brewing, D, poison brewing, D, formation arts, E, augmented senses, E, wolf's howl, E, wood skin, E, minor metal refining, F, fate, fate's power, A, fate's direction, positive, fate's design, rebuild your family to aid Sebastian. Total, A+. The boss waited for Victor's answer, but he quickly noticed that he was busy vulgarly inspecting the somewhat pretty driver to respond to Sebastian. He also took out his phone to send a few fake messages. The boss knew this trick, Victor was secretly filming her. She was not his type, but he quickly decided to help. The villa was not on sale, but young Master Victor owns this place now. He bought the entire company. The boss said, trying hard to please his new master. At first, he also refused to sell the villa to Victor, but at that next moment after a brief phone call that Victor made, the previous owner of this place called him informing him that the new owner was sitting in front of him. This young master had just bought not only them but even their parent company, the real estate developer behind the villa. That's how you do real estate. I see, but I don't care. I want that villa, sell it to me, Sebastian turned to Victor and demanded arrogantly. No, that's impossible, I don't want my future love nest to be contaminated by your midget virus. What if my children grew up like you? No way. Victor insulted Sebastian, making Hannah, who stood behind Sebastian as his driver, glare at him with a frown. How dare he? You bastard. Do you want me to break you fucking? Sebastian began to threaten angrily. The manager who welcomed him began to retreat professionally. She was going to call the useless guards. Young master, your father wants you to return to the house immediately. The driver suddenly interrupted Sebastian's outburst after noticing the purple token hung on Victor's neck. But Hannah, about the villa, don't worry. Certain things can only be gotten by those who are destined. We can only give up for now. She explained with a sentence that had a double meaning. Ah, well, I will forgive you all this time, if only my father didn't want me to go back. Sebastian said reluctantly, throwing a very dirty gesture at Victor before turning to leave. Wait, Victor shouted suddenly, stopping Sebastian. Your driver is pretty hot. Do you mind lending her to me? Victor asked, earning himself another glare from Hannah, who should look quite normal now under disguise. No, Sebastian flatly refused and then turned to leave again. Wait, Victor shouted again. What now? Sebastian asked angrily. You look familiar, did I see you somewhere before? Victor asked, making Sebastian flinch and then quickly leave the agency. I look like a lot of people. His sound trailed off as Hannah followed behind him. Although Sebastian appeared in the Mantis battle videos, the recording was done from far away, and his face was blurry. Yet sharp-eyed people might recognize him, so his master had told him to keep wearing sunglasses while outside. Sebastian quickly entered the car's back seat and looked at Hannah, who started the car. Elder sister, why did you give up this easily? He asked. He was telling that boss that he was leaving town tonight, we can just go there tomorrow. She said, taking off her driver's hat and letting his silky hair drop on her back. But we need to dig to get to your family's vault. Those idiots built that thing right over it. That's why we needed to buy the villa. We can just say that we are a renovation team sent by that Victor. You must not be impulsive and think things thoroughly. She scolded softly. Ah, or we can just threaten him to give us the villa, Sebastian said. No, he is a Von Weiss. And from the token he was wearing an elite member. We better do this tomorrow after he leaves. We just need to empty the vault. And adjust your disguise, if they found your identity we might get in trouble. She added as she drove off, while hoping that she could find a cure for her curse here, maybe she would be able to touch him at last. She looked at the grumpy Sebastian in the mirror. Even under her disguise formula, he looked so cute. 5 minutes after Sebastian left, a guy wearing a dress walked out of the men's restroom, frightening the boss, who was wondering why Victor was waiting. Did they go? Alex asked. Yeah, thankfully you were busy in the toilet. Victor scolded. Young master, should we return to Vane City? She asked as Victor inspected her. Nah, your current disguise is passable, just wear a wig and sunglasses. Now quickly drive me to the villa, Victor said as he gestured to the boss, who bowed and handed him the key. Didn't you want to go shopping for gifts? Alex asked as she followed Victor, who hurried outside, to the car parked at the side of the road. Later, my guts are telling me the villa has a secret, and I need to get there now, he said as he got in. At that moment, Victor's phone rang. It was Kai. Young master, we found who was the one who tried to attack you today. It was Malcolm Brown, the son of Alvin Brown, Lucas's brother, he said. Why does he want to kill me? Victor asked. Young master, Lady Iris had already cut Lucas and his father Alvin into fish food. This one was locked somewhere by his father after offending you. He got out, and seems to want revenge. You kicked his balls out of existence a while ago, Kai explained. Really? I don't remember, Victor said. He kicked a lot of balls out of existence, and can't remember each one. At a phone store in Vane City, you even killed the manager, after this guy insulted you. Kai explained. You mean that bastard was not a normal clerk? No wonder he was so cocky, I should have killed him. Victor exclaimed as Alex started the car. How did he find me? Victor asked. We don't know, young master, he had already died after you blew him up. So, we can't ask him, Kai said as Victor hung up, cutting him off. Victor squinted as he looked at the road outside. Who was the one who wanted to kill him? It must be someone with access to his family database, which included all the other powers. Damn it, sooner or later he will find out and cut that guy to pieces. Chapter 183, Many Spies. When the girls entered the boss room, what awaited them was beyond their wildest imagination. It was a super cute little Lamia that looked at them with big watery eyes. They almost ran to her and squeezed her little cheeks. Get into formation, and prepare for battle, Alpha commanded angrily. The girls hesitated, but their fear of Alpha pushed them to do as commanded, though reluctantly. Team Blue, Beta, prepare to use firearms, Alpha said as the Lamia looked at her innocently, as if she didn't understand her. Stop, you can't hurt her. An idiot named Archie ran and stopped in front of Alpha, who was preparing a rocket launcher. He had his back to the Lamia and was stretching his hands wide as if to take the bullets for it. Look at her, she is not a danger. We can, he began to speak, earning himself a slap to the face that sent him headfirst into the sidewall and saved his life. Behind him, the Lamia, who realized her tricks didn't work, transformed from a little cute girl into a huge abomination that had a barbed snake tail that had thick sharp scales, a human torso with 3 pairs of sharp-nailed long hands, and topped it off with a reptilian head that had many sharp teeth and razor-sharp pointy horns like an elk. It was like a monster made for nightmares. Half of the girls peed their pants at that very moment, but did not dare to leave the formation as Alpha was scarier than this monster. Tom was miserable. His ass was literally kicked by a girl half his size, a very mean girl. "Tom, what happened?" Teacher Isabella asked in concern as he limped into the teacher's office, which was conveniently empty. "I was sneak attacked by that evil girl. I only asked her to help me carry some stuff," Tom said in a sorrowful way. He truly only did that, as Lynn did not give him a chance to say anything else. "What girl?" Isabella asked. "The new one, Lynn. That B*teach's level is very high. Teacher, I am sure she is up to no good. Please punish her." I will talk to the principal," she lied, not intending to hurt Tom's feelings. She knew quite well that Lynn, like that hateful Victor, belonged to the oligarchies and was impossible to punish. "I trust you, teacher," Tom said with a firm voice and a bright smile that made her want to. What is she thinking? "Teacher, can you help me? That B*tch, she pounded my body really hard. It is now all red and swollen and it hurts too bad. Can you help me apply some ointment?" Tom suddenly pleaded hesitatingly, making Isabella waver, then nod. He helped her before. "So that's the least she can do. Where is your injury?" she asked as Tom took off his shirt, showing his amazing muscular sculpted body that had red spots where Lynn hit him. "They don't look that bad," Isabella said as she inspected him with a blush. "Not bad at all. Not there. Here," Tom said as he lowered her pants, revealing a butt swollen 3 times its normal size. "Ah," Isabella blushed heavily as she squealed, but quickly regained her composure. She already promised to help. This is her duty as a teacher. Nothing weird is happening here, she convinced herself as she swallowed her saliva. "Lay on your stomach," she ordered as she turned to get an ointment, making Tom smile evilly behind her back as he secretly made a victory sign in his hand, not realizing that a tiny gargoyle was flying outside the window holding a phone to record his dirty deeds. It was 11:30 when Victor reached the villa, a truly amazing brick building. It was built right on top of the waterfall, giving a great view of the prosperous town and amazing nature below. Victor never visited this place before, as he was not a VIP at first, then this place was destroyed later before he returned here. "Young master, is there really anything here? What are we looking for?" Alex asked as Victor began to move around, not caring about the quality furniture. He was hoping to find anything interesting, but after a quick round, he found nothing. The building was great, his mother would surely love it. And his uncles would be so jealous they might commit suicide. But still, he found nothing. "What am I looking for?" "I don't know," Victor said slowly with a frown. How is he going to find what secret this place holds? After searching for another hour, he gave up. He could find nothing, even after using 3 treasure-finding talismans. He was pretty sure that this building was built atop some kind of treasure or a secret base. But digging it aimlessly would take days. And that Hannah would surely notice and come with Sebastian to make trouble. Could his guts be wrong? Impossible. Whatever the Von Richter was hiding here, he wants it. Too bad Alpha was busy fighting that thing. Hopefully, she would finish by tonight and go out of the dungeon so that he can call her. He didn't want to reveal that he can communicate with her using telepathy yet. "Let's go shopping," Victor said at last to Alex, who was watching her young master with interest. He looked very mysterious and cool when he was lost in his thoughts. "Will you give up just like that?" she asked him as she followed him out of the villa. "No, I need to think about this," he said absent-mindedly as he sat in the car. Why does he need to work? He can just wait for Hannah and Sebastian to come here and reveal the treasure. They had surely heard him when he told the real estate agent that he will be leaving town. The problem is he didn't have any empty blood slave slots. And this might be risky as he had no way to fight Sebastian. No, he had one. Victor squinted his eyes as he looked at Alex, who was starting the car. She seemed to be talking to him. Quote, "Young master, any exact place in mind? There are a lot of shops around this town." Alex was asking him, not realizing that he was not paying her any attention. "Ah, there are some antique markets in the old town, beside the main square. After that, we will return to my grandfather's house," he said, formulating a plan to return here tonight after faking traveling back to Vane City. Hopefully, he will not wait for more than 2 days, or he would really start demolishing this building. The shopping was quick and uneventful. Victor bought a lot of gifts, and made a lot of random shopkeepers extremely happy, totally ignoring the eyes which were spying on him. He bought a lot of clothes for the girls and some jewelry, trinkets, and hairpins. He made sure to choose them to fit the girls' personalities, making Alex, who was tasked with carrying the boxes, somewhat jealous. Lastly, before leaving, Victor noticed something in one store and ran inside to buy it, causing Alex to open her mouth wide while wondering why her young master wanted this leather collar. It looked high quality. But still, it was a collar. "It's not for you," Victor said as he sat back in his car. "Some girl has been having some other thoughts lately, looking at another guy, so she needs reminding who her master is," Victor said casually, making Alex look away with a blush. She was imagining things. Dirty things. What girl? When they reached the Carlson villa, his uncles were not there, and his grandfather was ignoring him as he played on his game console. Lily, who was happy to see her young master, wanted to hug him. But he dodged quickly and told her to guide him to his mother, who was waiting in an empty room, wanting to hear Theodore's decision. She didn't dare to phone him and ask by herself. Lily was somewhat annoyed, but she quickly followed his command. "Father accepted. You can stay here for a couple of months," he said after he sat on a chair and glanced at Lara, who was eavesdropping from outside the window, forgetting to lower her head enough. "But," Amelia asked, knowing that it was not this easy. "Lara will have to live with me, and Luna would come here to live with you. The air here is good for her and the baby's health," Victor stated, making her breathe in relief. Theodore's decision was better than she anticipated. "Ah, was this your idea?" she asked, raising one eyebrow. "Yes, convincing father is easier when things come to Luna," he hinted at his mother. "I bought you a house. But I didn't realize that it needed renovation, so I will ask Kai to get you one of the villas around here temporarily," Victor said. "There is no need," Elena complained softly, but she was pleased by her son's care. "It is necessary for yours and Luna's safety. George will send you a few maids too. I already called him," Victor added, making her nod. At least she would be close to her parents. She really wants to spend some time with them, and see her old friends around town. "What about Lara? Will you be the one supervising her training?" Elena asked as the little head out of the window crept closer. No, there were 2 heads. But the second one was smaller. Elle was there too. "We will be sending her to school," Victor said, making both Elena and Lara surprised. But Elena was worried. Her daughter has about 0 social skills. "Don't worry, I will send Elle with her. She will be fine," Victor said as he held Lily's hand. She was a little worried because he didn't hug her. "I will be taking Lara back tonight, after dinner," he added as he walked out of the room. "Is there a private place here?" he asked Lily. "I want to tell you something," he said. "Let's go upstairs," she said, guiding him to a simple balcony that overlooked the surrounding area. He quickly activated his disguise ability. "The day before yesterday I had an accident," he said. "At the brothel," she asked worryingly. "Did he get some STD? Is that why he didn't hug her?" "I left the brothel and went treasure hunting," he said as he smacked her butt, then quickly turned around, remembering to control himself. "Ah, what happened?" she asked. "I split my soul," he said. "What?" She didn't understand. "Well, you will not get it. But basically, I had to split my soul into 2. I will need some time to heal," he said as he looked to the street, counting. "That's why I can't get aroused or angry. It's like the soul poison. My determination and control are very weak right now. That's why I was avoiding looking at you earlier yesterday. I am better now, but if I allowed you to hug me earlier, I might have done some very dangerous things in the hallway," he explained. "Ah," Lily was somehow worried but also pleased. "So he still likes her. What if? Don't you dare remove that veil. Do you want your young master to die?" he scolded her, reading her dirty little mind. "Oh," she quickly put her hand down. "I have a mission for you," he said, changing the subject and making her try to look serious again, but failing to remove the stupid grin from her face. Thankfully it was hidden. "What?" she asked. "You will be leaving the town today with Lara and Elle, acting as if I am with you. I will stay here, for a couple of days at most." "Ah, Alex with you?" She was somewhat jealous but did not know why. Alex was a man, damn it. And her young master was not gay. What if? "Yes. I can't keep you with me with all of those spies around you like flies." Victor interrupted her dirty thoughts with some annoyance. Thankfully those idiots were now watching a show of Lily groveling on the floor as he scolded her for not taking care of his mother enough. When would those spies stop stalking me? She said as she looked down. She really wanted to be with him. How many do you see? Victor asked, subtly dodging the subject. 2. No, 3, she said. 5 agents are stalking you. Victor corrected her. The one with the newspaper on the street, the one on the branch on that tall tree. The 2 couples are at the opposite villa and the drone behind the building to the north. He said, making her surprised. She missed so many. For a second there, I thought that kid hiding behind the trash can was one of them. She said, scolding herself for mistaking one. That idiot is stalking me, not you, Victor said with an evil smile. Chapter 184, We Meet Again. The girls were shaking in horror as they surrounded the monster. It had been hacked about 20 times but managed to regrow its hands and tails every time they were severed with great difficulty. Don't falter and remember our plans, Alpha shouted, making the girls quickly stabilize. No matter how scary this thing was, their mistress was scarier. Mina, Mana, help me attract its attention again. Alpha yelled as she engaged the monster with her spear. The twins quickly began to attack in waves as Alpha tanked for them. Team Black at 8.30, Alpha shouted as an opening appeared and one of the assassin girls materialized near the monster and struck the opening, causing sparks to fly as her dagger cut open the steel-like scales letting the monster growl. Mina quickly arrived at that point and used her spear to deflect the monster's sharp claws, giving the assassin girl a chance to blend in the darkness again. Mana, give your sister an antidote pill. She was scratched. Ruby, heal Sky, her hands were damaged by the scales, and FC King Margaret, these snakes are gathering again. Led them away quickly as Team Blue reloaded. Quote. Alpha gave orders as she rotated with the twins. They were the only ones with a suitable fighting class for tanking. A success. Theta, who was vomiting blood from her mouth, shouted suddenly. At last her gamble to make the monster reveal its weakness succeeded. She was wagering her health for that. The possibility of a weak point reveal was only 1/10. The next moment, the monster bent in a strange way revealing a red scale that existed right where the scales met the human-like parts. It was hidden and protected deeply under other scales. This was the 3rd time they found it, as it keeps changing its position. Camellia, how much time? No mistakes this time, Theta is already at her limit. Alpha shouted after she cut the monster's hand and watched it regrow. 5 minutes and 21 seconds, a chance of 3.15, 12 degrees up, Camellia shouted as the sound of firearms sounded near Margaret who led the army of snakes toward a trap pit prepared by Beta and Eta. Plan Q this time, Alpha shouted as she engaged the monster who was howling in anger again. Allowing Mana to rest and eat a healing pill. And like that, for the next 5 minutes, the girls rotated, injuring the monster. They were not sparing any effort, and it showed as the monster was getting tired too, its movement slowed. 10 seconds, Camellia shouted. Wind, Alpha screamed as Archie in the corner began chanting, causing the dust accumulated from the dead snakes to blow in the monster's face. Alpha quickly popped 3 healing pills in her mouth, then threw her spear at the monster's tail, pinning it as Mana and Mina did the same. All of them took their swords after that and attacked it savagely, only revealing a small opening at a certain angle where a hidden hand struck a red jewel just as it momentarily appeared there. It was Mira, delivering her first and last strike in this battle. Boss defeated. Dungeon cleared. Congratulations. After a weird dinner with his grandfather and grandmother, and saying goodbye to his mother, Victor left the villa with Lily, Elle, and Lara who was reluctant to leave her mother who gave her a long list of instructions. Victor, not wanting his mother or grandfather to ask unnecessary questions, let Alex wait in the car while wearing his wig and sunglasses despite the fact that it was already dark. She was tasked with reviewing a stack of papers that he gave her. So after getting into the shaded car and saying goodbye to everyone, the car started then slowly left the villa complex headed toward the highway leading to Vane City. That's what Sebastian saw. He made sure to follow the car on a children's bicycle until the highway just to make sure. He never realized that the one who was driving was Lily. And Victor, whom he was stalking, had used his camouflage ability to fake entering the car and was now making his way quickly toward the villa over the waterfall. Elder sister, he left town. Yes, I made sure to follow them. Yes, I am not a kid. I know, I will be there in a minute. After a brief call on his phone, Sebastian made his way toward the waterfall villa too, wondering what his elder sister wanted to get from there, and laughing at her calling him a kid. What would her reaction be if she knew he was much older than she believed? When Victor reached the villa with Alex, the first thing he did was to call Alpha. Anyone died? Are you all okay? He asked as soon as she answered, acting as if he didn't know. We are all safe. Some girls had some bruises, but we got a healer so things went smoothly. She said, surprised by his concern. Are you coming to meet with us? She asked. No, something happened, you stay at the mountain base for now. I want you to continue interrogating that idiot Klein and his men, get anything you can on his master Troy. Victor said, I already got a lot of things, but you interrupted my work, making me go on dungeon raid, she complained with annoyance. How many levels did you get? He asked. 5, babysitting is profitable, she replied. Your beloved Mira got most of it as she was the one who delivered the final strike. She is now level 10. She added with some annoyance. Oh, not bad. I will reward you with a kiss later. He said, making her spit to the side of the phone as the girls watched her and wondered who was she talking to. Now, do you know a girl named Hannah von Richter? He asked, making her squint her eyes. If her name is correct, she should be a part of my family. But we didn't get any info on the other seeds, so I can't tell you anything about her. She replied truthfully. Then do you know about a base in the Golden Waterfall town? He asked. Oh, there is one there, on top of the waterfall. The family had left such bases that we were instructed to open when the time was right. They need my family's bloodline to be opened though. She said, reluctantly, knowing that she can't lie to him. Give me its exact location. He said, as he watched the street below, hoping that he would have enough time to ransack that place. Suddenly, he saw a bicycle climbing the cliff, with a pretty girl sitting on the back and clinging to a kid who was driving it. *T. Young master, these are meant. Alpha was hesitant. Louise, I don't have time. Quickly, he yelled, causing the hesitating Alpha to yield and gave him the location coordinates. It's 3 meters below ground, precisely at 339 degrees 54 minutes 22 seconds 0068 north and 79 degrees 28 feet 5.0016 inches west. It can only be accessed by a von Richter bloodline. She warned again as she wondered how powerful was his identification ability to know even her real name. She never told anyone. I know, he said as he hung up the phone and ran to the location Alpha mentioned using the positioning system on his phone. It was below a big brick fireplace. Alex, stay here and hide, stop everyone. No, if a girl enters this place, leave her to do whatever she wants. If that bastard Sebastian tries to enter, act as if you were following them, then engage with him and stop him no matter what. You may even kill him, Victor said, making Alex's face get serious. I understand, she said as she watched her young master crawl into the fireplace. Then after carefully checking the positioning system on his phone a couple of times, he disappeared, leaving one sentence. Remove that stupid wig. Ellipsis. Don't kill him, Hannah instructed Sebastian, who professionally threw a small stone that rendered the lazy guard on the gate unconscious immediately. Older sister, you are always a pacifist like that. You should be more decisive and kill your enemies. Master keeps telling you that, Sebastian said as he took a rope and tied the guard reluctantly. I just don't want to shed unnecessary blood. This guy is just a poor guard, not an enemy. She said. He would be if he caught us, Sebastian interjected. As he looked at the guard's watch, which he silently snatched, this guard was not poor at all. He didn't stop us, she replied as she carefully entered the villa ground followed by her younger apprentice brother and watched the amazing scenery inside. Those guys really know how to live, he said with an envious voice as he smacked his lips. He was raised in the sect where he had to live an ascetic lifestyle. He hated it. You are still a kid. One day you may build a much grander place, and you must learn to be humble. This place is not suitable for people like us who pursue the material way. Hannah said righteously despite the slight designer hidden in her eyes. Where to now? He asked. The terrain has changed, but I have the coordinates. She replied as she took an antique device that she borrowed from their master before leaving and began to search with it. Can't you use your phone? He asked. Phones these days have GPS systems. He said. The one on the phone is not accurate enough, we must find it from the first try. She replied as she headed to the fireplace, then checked a few more times, making sure it was there. It is under this, she said as she wondered how to dig. I can use a bomb, he suggested. No, it would make too much noise. Too bad you only know fire spells, she said as she took a green vial from her storage ring and emptied it inside the fireplace. What is that? He asked. It's a very strong acid, it should go right through the ground, she said as she watched the ground starting to cave in. Oh, he watched as Hannah left the room. Where are you going? He wanted to ask, but quickly realized why she left. The smell of this acid was too disturbing. After catching up with his elder sister, they waited for about 1 hour outside, enjoying the magnificent scenery in a romantic atmosphere. Or that is what Sebastian liked to imagine as he sneak peeked at his elder sister's smiling face. It must be ready now, stay here. Hannah told Sebastian. Why, older sister, don't you trust me? He asked with a sad face. Ah, I do, but this is a family secret, she said decisively, making him nod reluctantly. He knew how stubborn she could get. After making sure to tie her loose hair in a ponytail, she gave Sebastian a stern look, then made her way inside and looked through the new tunnel in the ground. She emptied a new bottle inside to neutralize the acid and then jumped after a moment when the smell disappeared. Sebastian watched for a second, then an evil smile crept on his face. He counted to 100 and then started heading to the tunnel. Would his elder sister kick him out if he got inside? Of course not. She might scold him, but wouldn't they be sharing a secret after that? He. So that's what you were snooping for around all day. A voice that Sebastian would never forget sounded behind him, making him stop and then turn to look at young Master Alex, whom he presumed dead. You! Sebastian yelled angrily as he took out his staff, preparing for battle. Yes, it is me. We meet again. I was right to follow you after seeing you following that stupid young master in town, Alex said as she walked closer, feeling refreshed. It has been a while since she acted as a young master. Although she hated it before, she missed those days. How was that, Arachne? I heard you both had a great time. Alex asked casually as she stepped closer one more time, making Sebastian lose all reason and launch a fireball at her, which she was ready for. She was already close enough to kick his staff, making the fireball hit a nearby tree and burning it into ashes. This afternoon, Victor had already given her all of Sebastian's skills and ways to defend against them. Chapter 185. Cyan vs. Dark Cyan. Sebastian didn't expect Alex to kick his staff so quickly, but he prepared to cast another fireball when he felt a danger approaching, so he jumped back just in time to dodge a dagger that Alex threw at him. That was close. He didn't fear that dagger, as his body was eternal. Normal weapons can't hurt him and any injury would heal pretty fast. What he worried about was the black liquid dripping from it. He quickly readied his staff again and prepared to cast a firestorm spell, but Alex took another dagger and moved toward him, forcing him to stop and cancel it and just launch a fireball to keep Alex at a safe distance. Alex was dodging fireballs left and right, totally ignoring the villa that caught fire and began to burn around him. She quickly discovered that her current approach was useless, so she switched to the second tactic. She took out a large handgun and began firing at Sebastian, who flinched first and then stood still as the bullets slid past his skin, not even injuring him. His eternal body was bulletproof. Only highly ranked artifacts can hurt it. Soon, Sebastian noticed a problem. His eyes were not protected and that bastard was trying hard to hit them, and she was taking out a spear with her other hand. Bastard! Screamed Sebastian as he closed his eyes instinctively, to discover that his ears were useless too. Those bullets were extra loud. The echo made it almost impossible to find Alex's location, but he could tell that she was getting nearer. Feeling a sense of danger, Sebastian quickly began to cast fireballs around him, especially toward the bullets' direction, allowing him to force Alex, who was a few feet away from him, to step back again, but not before taking out a gasoline tank and throwing it at him. Luckily or unluckily, one of Sebastian's fireballs hit it, just before it reached him, but the explosion still sent him a few feet away as his hair and eyebrows burnt along with the furniture. Giving Alex, who was ready and waiting for a chance, an opportunity to hit him with her spear right in his crotch. The reason she chose this target instead of his heart was simple. She remembered Victor's instructions this afternoon, that Sebastian was a Cyan, almost impossible to kill. That made her worried a lot, but he assured her again that although they can't be killed, they can be defeated, as he did with Oliver. Didn't Lily castrate that Cyan? She can castrate this one too. Cyans are castratable. Ah! Sebastian howled in pain, as the protection talisman he wore shattered, saving him from spending the rest of his life as a eunuch. The talisman was given to him by his master when he left the sect. It was supposed to be a life-saving treasure, not a manhood-saving one. And although the spear didn't penetrate his skin, he still felt the hit, a hit that sent his body staggering and shook his very existence. Alex was using all her power. Alex was intending to double down and castrate him for good. But a flaming beam that fell between them stopped her and forced her back a few steps. Taking the chance, Sebastian jumped to his feet and retreated with difficulty, to be welcomed by a barrage of bullets again, causing him to protect his eyes with his hand this time as his staff fell away. Damn it! He could feel it. Alex was cornering him, and the wall behind him was already burning. Having no other choice, Sebastian used his other hand to take out a black jade from his ring and then break it after a moment of hesitation, causing a shockwave that deflected the silver spear Alex threw a movement ago. It was aimed at his stomach, meant to nail him into the burning wall behind him. Sebastian slowly put his hand down as his body began to puff up. His eyes, now open, were turning red. He gestured with his hand, making the staff that was on the ground float to his hand as Alex, who was intending to fire at him again, changed her mind and stepped away from him. "I can't believe you made me use this. You will have to pay the price. I will make you wish you were dead," he said in a calm voice. That sent shivers down her spine, especially when he began to cast a spell with some very strange language. Alex's instincts were telling her to run, so she tried but failed as chains extending from the ground constrained her. She couldn't move as she watched Sebastian utter a series of words that didn't sound human as a wave of black smoke formed above her, drilling into her body. Alex could feel some dull pain in her crotch and blood began to seep from there, making Sebastian smile evilly. "This is your punishment for trying to castrate me. Now, you are the eunuch." "Ha!" he yelled and began to laugh like a maniac. "Younger brother, help. No, monster." A girl's scream made Sebastian stop, then frown for a moment as if he was having difficulty regaining some reason. But after a moment he succeeded. He took a deep breath. He quickly looked at the destroyed room, searching for something. The hole was now under a pile of flaming rubble. The entire place was burning. He quickly lifted a slab of wood, ignoring the temperature, revealing the hole in the ground under the fireplace. Giving Alex one last look as if looking at a dead man, he jumped in without hesitation. Alex tried to move but couldn't. She just looked around as the flame approached her and her power was drained by something inside of her. That bastard didn't spare her life. Those chains were not normal. Was she going to die here? You can't get out of those chains of Tricast Shadow. Some really nasty spell. If you didn't know how to dispel it, you can only be lifted by losing consciousness. Victor, who was covered in soot, stood beside her. "Young master, how?" Alex struggled to speak as Victor stuck a pill in her mouth. "Relax, just relax and you will be free. The caster is locked downstairs now, so you need to fall asleep for those things to break. Thankfully that idiot targeted your crotch instead of your heart, for revenge, I presume," Victor spoke as Alex lost consciousness. Ellipsis. The moment the chains disappeared, Victor grabbed Alex and jumped out of the villa into a stone cliff far away from the fire. Just in time before the roof completely collapsed. He carefully laid Alex next to the unconscious Hannah and then began to check her condition. The blood on her crotch was caused by that bastard intending to castrate her, but failing. Checking her pulse, Victor was sure this was just her aunt coming early, nothing bad at all. Sebastian's spell had caused that. Thanks to it, he was fooled. The problem was now those nasty things inside of her. Victor frowned as he took a dispelling talisman, intending to use it, then stopping after some thoughts. He quickly replaced it with a weaker one, then took the soul pearl and placed it on Alex's stomach, then activated the talisman on her head, causing the swarm of black gas that went in her to flow out, and instinctively enter the pearl. More food for him. Noticing that Alex's completion became better, Victor slowly brushed her silky hair and then popped a healing pill in her mouth. She needed a reward, but he will delay that for later. Victor looked back at the villa, which was now on fire. Sebastian was now locked under the rubble, inside the vault that Victor found underground. A vault that was built from an otherworldly metal that can't be broken easily or discovered. After Victor entered that place, he found it using the shifting ring. He discovered that it was a room-sized vault filled with all kinds of treasures, some really cool stuff, so he made sure to pack it all and check the walls for any hidden chambers, which he found one with an even better treasure that suited Alpha well. By the time Hannah unlocked it from the outside and entered, the vault was spotlessly clean, causing her to stop in shock, giving Victor the chance to prick her with a needle. The first one failed due to a protection talisman, but he always prepares another one from the other side, so when she flinched and stepped back, the second needle struck her and rendered her unconscious. After that, he quickly left as Sebastian was busy firing his fireballs indiscriminately around at Alex. Victor got hit once by a burning wooden slab that fell from above as a part roof collapsed when he was leaving. He had to put Hannah at a safe distance and then hide and wait for the right time after that. And a chance came when he cursed Alex, so he screamed for help using Hannah's voice, and waited for him to enter the vault that had the illusion of a collapsed Hannah. He went straight after him and firmly closed the door that can only be opened by a von Richter bloodline. He also stuck a soul-repelling talisman on the door, just in case. Victor rested for a few minutes and watched the villa burn as the flame traveled from one room to another. Suddenly he frowned as he could hear sirens from afar. Time to leave. Victor quickly grabbed the unconscious Hannah and Alex like potato sacks, then made his way down to the town where he found an abandoned building to place them and sit down for some rest after texting Lily that he would not return tonight. He was exhausted. Ellipsis. It was 9:00 in the morning when Alex woke up. She felt some pain in her stomach but it was not bad. You are awake. Victor spoke, softly. Ah, young master, what happened? She asked as she looked at her blood-drenched pants. That bastard Sebastian had a stone of dark souls. I didn't expect that. He should be suffering a big backlash right now. Victor added. What is it? She asked. Some really nasty stuff. Dark wizards collect tortured and evil souls and then weaponize them. They will only leave the target when he is dead. Thankfully I managed to lure Sebastian inside the vault and trap him underground before he realized how crazy his weapon really is. He only attacked you physically, probably intending to torture you. If he used it on your soul, you would have been dead. Oh, how did you save me? She asked. I didn't, I just gave you one of my soul pills and made you enter a very deep coma. Then used a dispelling talisman to kick those things out. Unfortunately, that bastard targeted your crotch with his attack, and when I arrived the damage was already done. I didn't dare to check. Victor said with a sorrowful sigh, making Alex look down with worries. There is a hospital near here, go check. I couldn't tell for sure, maybe there is hope. Victor said as if he didn't really believe his words, pointing to a white building adjacent to their unfinished apartment. He chose this place for that purpose. I already gave you a healing pill, but you must ask the doctors, and prepare for the worst. He added with some worry. Then I will go. Alex quickly took out clean clothes and then ran away, totally ignoring the unconscious girl on the ground whom Victor was looking at. He never planned to kidnap her, he was preparing to fool her somehow, but he couldn't find a good way in time. So he decided to do this the simplest way possible, just kidnap her and then fool her later. Her alchemist class was very rare and very tempting for him. Now, what to do with her? He had some thoughts, but she will have to suffer a little. Chapter 186, Cell. When Alex returned to the apartment, Victor was busy stuffing Hannah into a big bag. Appearing 90% criminal, 9% maniac, and 1% charming. Young master, what do you plan to do with her? Alex asked after watching for a few minutes in which Victor even used his foot to stuff the girl inside perfectly. That's the problem with martial arts practitioners, although it was not showing, Hannah had very firm muscles. And a tall body that was not meant to be stuffed in a bag. What every sane man does when he gets a pretty girl. Sell her, Victor said jokingly while panting as he zipped the bag up and looked at Alex who was looking at him with disgust. Did the doctor find you a new one? Victor asked, changing the subject. Now what? Alex didn't understand. She looked at Victor and he looked at her, then she got it and began to blush heavily. No, I didn't need anything, the doctor said I am just slightly injured. She added with a blush. She turned into a woman and walked into the hospital, where they did all kinds of tests. The result was that she was having an early period, nothing major. The doctor told her to exercise less and take care of her diet. Oh, then you are still 100% a man? Victor asked with an obvious concern. Quote. You can count me as one. She answered ambiguously after some hesitation while looking at the bag. She didn't want to end up inside one. Good, Victor said as he put his hand on his chest. I was afraid that I would lose my brothel buddy, Victor said, making Alex, just for a tiny second, consider the option of smacking his perverted head off. Let's go then, Victor said as he changed his looks under Alex's surprised eyes. He was now a pretty woman with long red hair. Where to? Alex asked as she put on a red-haired wig that Victor threw at her. Was he seriously going to sell the girl? She didn't like that at all, but she chose to remain silent. To some very dirty place, Victor said, making her shiver a little as she looked at the bag in his hand. Ababababa, the man said as he drooled. Ah, sorry, I gave him the wrong dose. The girl apologized in panic as Alpha hurried to her side and checked on the man. Abu, btha, the man bit his tongue forcing the girl to stuff a fastener in his mouth. Oh, that is an interesting condition. The other one your sister handled died, how much did you give him? She asked. I used an entire leaf from sample number 32 added to a glass of normal wine. The girl said. She was shaking a little. Her mistress was making her do bad things. Don't worry about him. He is an enemy who came to kill us, and I already extracted all of the info he has, now watch him and see if he can regain his sanity. Alpha said as she took out a notebook and began to write on it, give him to Nora when she returns. The assassin girl wearing a headband, let her try some torture methods and test his pain receptors in this state. She added as the girl nodded looking at the drooling test subject with some pity. Those guys were the death warriors who attacked the mansion. After a quick and very efficient interrogation using the spirit wine, Alpha decided to test the herbs she found in the dungeon on them. The blue flower was not the only thing there, and all of them seemed to have some kind of effect on souls. Carry on, Alpha said as she wondered when Victor would return. She wanted to ask him about that girl Hannah he mentioned. But his phone had been off since yesterday. That place was dirty, literally, extra dirty. It was in the slums right next to a sewage outlet. It was as if no one bothered to clean this place since, ever. It had that smell that stopped getting bad after reaching a certain limit and started somehow smelling good. It was a simple shop, made of stone carved in the rock of the riverside cliff. You see, every city in the world has one of those. Although Golden Waterfall is just a town, it is a major tourist attraction, so it also has a Von Geldstadt shop. Victor spoke as he knocked on the door. This place didn't look like a shop. A burly man opened the door and looked at the two beauties at the door. No. That one was a guy dressed as a woman. The guard got nervous. We are here to sell, Victor said as he noticed the guard was preparing to sound the alarm. We don't buy stolen goods. The guard said loudly. I only sell genuine goods. Victor whispered the other part of the password, making the guard relax a little and nod, then make way for them to enter. He made sure to keep an eye on Alex though. A shopkeeper welcomed them inside, then guided them to a spacious clean room that didn't reflect the atmosphere outside. There was no shop set up, just a couple of sofas and a sturdy table in the middle where Victor placed his bag and relaxed on the sofa as if this was not his first time here. How can I help you, Mrs.? Names are not important. I want to sell a girl, Victor said, feigning an aristocratic accent. Oh, what kind? The shopkeeper asked as he eyed the bag, not touching it. A player, an alchemist. Level uncertain, but not very high, Victor said, making the shopkeeper look at the bag with interest this time. May I have a look? He asked. Victor nodded, and carefully opened the bag to reveal the unconscious girl inside. She is pretty normal, the shopkeeper said after appraising her beauty. Nothing special, Victor nodded. While checking Hannah's storage ring, he found an ointment inside that she was applying to herself, to make herself ugly. She is very pretty though, on par with Alpha. I am selling her for her abilities, not her body. I couldn't identify her background though, probably some rogue player. She will wake up in about 12 hours. Victor added, I can't price her like this. You might need to take her to the headquarters to check her class and level. The shopkeeper frowned and said, if she was pretty, he might take a risk, but she is not. I don't plan to sell her directly. I want you to sell her at the auction. I heard there will be one next week. Victor satiated. Oh, that is doable, the shopkeeper said with some hesitation as Victor gave him a card with a bank account. Just deposit the profits here. I am too busy to care for such stuff, Victor said casually. I will, the shopkeeper said, with a slight smile as he crumbled the card in his pocket only to feel the edge of a very sharp blade on his neck. No funny business, kid. Do this according to procedures, or I will make sure Colmere hears of this, Victor said as he drew back his dagger, making the shopkeeper who was going to take the girl and then sell her by himself change his mind. Only a few outsiders knew about the name Colmere, the punishment hall master of their family. And none of them were easy. I will make sure to do everything perfectly, the shopkeeper said as he quickly prepared a token for Victor with a series of numbers. This was a receipt. He cut the sleeping Hannah's finger and made her bleed on it. Victor nodded, then grabbed the token and turned, leaving the shop without looking at the bag or the shopkeeper. The disturbed Alex followed after him quickly. After that, they quickly borrowed a car and drove out of town and into the highway while keeping silent. Alex, who was doing the driving, was too annoyed to talk to Victor, not realizing that he was suffering from a backlash and was busy adjusting his breathing. At the moment he left the shop, his fate shield took most of the damage, but he was still little hurt. But he had a smile on his face. The backlash meant that Hannah's or Sebastian's fate was successfully changed. They didn't talk until they reached some small village where Victor ditched the car and then took a random bus heading to Vane City with Alex. He was much better after stuffing his mouth with healing pills. Do you think I was cruel? Victor, who looked like an old man now, asked as he whispered in Alex's ear just as the bus started. Yes, Alex replied, not caring about his intimate moves. She was really disturbed. Don't worry, I plan to buy her back. If I took her home immediately, she would know what we did. She would hate us and would want to go get Sebastian back. I just want to distance myself from this and act as an ally for her and Sebastian, who would eventually escape. I don't want to antagonize their entire sect. Victor added. He was using his disguise on Alex too, turning her into a pretty woman. So the other few passengers on the bus were watching in disgust as that old bald man whispered in the young woman's pretty ears. Really? Alex asked, seemingly relieved a little. Yes. Remember, Sebastian is a scion, he would get out sooner or later. So if one day he came knocking on the door, I would have to play innocent as you hide in the basement. Victor said with a smile, making her freeze a little. I will go buy her at the auction next week, and I can pay a lot for her, as the money would just go from one pocket to the other. She might suffer a little this week, but no matter what, I will get her back. I am telling you this in case something were to happen to me, you have to get Alpha and go get her. He added. Is she really that important? Alex asked, no longer feeling sorry for Hannah. On the contrary, she was feeling a little jealous now. Yes, she is an alchemist, and I really need this girl for a different reason too. She comes from the same family as Alpha. Victor said. Family? Alex asked. Go ask Alpha yourself, everyone has some secrets, I will not reveal anything. He said, making her look at him with interest. Would he keep her secret too? Chapter 187. 5 Secret Organizations. Victor reached the villa at 3 p.m., where he met Lily, who threw herself at him with some wicked thoughts. Thankfully he managed to dodge just in time. But she was getting better at this, as if she were reading his mind. His soul had healed a lot since yesterday, and now he could control himself well enough to spank her without any major problems, but he could not risk anything more. Lara and Elle were watching TV in the living room. When Victor entered the room, Lara quickly stood up and bowed to him in a formal salute, then returned to the show that seemed more important than her esteemed elder brother. They were watching a show about a flying superhero with great interest. Are they really interested in flying or just the bulging muscles of that guy? He didn't dare to ask. Young master, you are back. Hilda, who was in the kitchen, quickly greeted him after entering the room. Would you like to have lunch? She asked. No, I will take a shower and then leave for the base with Lily. Keep an eye on the girls. Alex will stay here, let him rest and only wake him up in case of emergencies. He was injured yesterday. Victor said while making an okay sign to Alex, as if telling him, I will be counting on you in the brothel next time. That's what Alex felt anyway. Young master, is it okay for Lara to watch TV like this? The family rules, Hilda suddenly asked. Lily said it was okay, but she had to make sure. Did she finish her exercises? He asked. Yes. Hilda nodded, she made sure of that. Then it's fine, just let her sleep early. Victor said while thinking that this was now his opportunity to heal Lara's bloodline exhaustion problem. Maybe he should wait and let that alchemist Hannah brew the blood reinforcing pill after he gets her back. Although he learned alchemy before, he was a low-ranked one without a class. The class makes all the difference. Now there were more important things to attend to. Alex, don't leave the mansion, I will disguise Lily as you. So make sure to sleep until the morning. Victor said, making Alex nod before looking at Lily. Lily, you go get the car ready, and you are forbidden from approaching my room for the next 15 minutes. Victor warned, then hurried to take a shower. He stunk. Lily was a little annoyed but noticed how tired he seemed, so she didn't bully him any further. She had another target to bully. What did you do yesterday? She asked Alex, who was turning to leave. Did you go to that place again? Lily asked again. No, it was different. We bought a villa then. Alex hesitated. As if she were feeling guilty for doing something evil. You did what? Lily asked. Smelling something fishy. Her young master had the smell of some girl that she didn't recognize. I can't tell you, asked the young master. Alex said as she ran away to her room. She also needed a shower. Ruby was sitting and watching the sunset from the top of the base, as they called it. It was just an old factory though. She glanced at her hand and wondered what the hell happened yesterday. What are players really? This was like a fairy tale, from saving her from the brothel to defeating that monster Lamia. She was still a little shocked. You are here too. A sound startled her. It was Theta accompanied by Mira. Yeah, I don't want to keep messing with the guys downstairs. Why do I feel like we belong to an evil organization? Ruby said with a sigh as the girls sat next to her. Because we do. Mira said, Alpha didn't tell you, but our young master belongs to one of the families who control the world from the shadows using their powers as players. She added, making Ruby look at her in shock, as Theta, who sat to her other side, nodded. Such a thing exists? She asked. Yeah, Theta replied from the other side, the one who kidnapped us belonged to that family too. In fact, the man who took me back then was the young master's dog cousin. And that fat pig Baron was just a butler in their family. Theta explained, making Ruby freeze a little. Maybe she was not saved, after all, just changed owner. Don't worry, the young master is not bad at all. He is just a little sloppy, Theta said with some annoyance. She had bet some coins on whether he would be waiting for them outside the dungeon. She lost. When would I be able to meet this young master anyway? Ruby asked. Maybe sooner than you think, Theta replied as noticed a car driving up the mountain. She quickly made a bet, he better not disappoint her this time. He didn't. Minutes later a large bell began to sound in the factory, or as Victor liked to call it, the base. It was to summon everyone to the main yard where a black car was slowly parking. Ruby hurried with the other curious girls and got in line under Alpha's commands. They were all watching as the car stopped and a veiled girl hurried from the driver's seat and opened the door, and a young man with silky purplish hair stepped down. Ruby had one thought in mind, he was hot. She saw men, all kinds of men in the brothel, but this young master was different. Her sisters seemed to have similar thoughts. I told you, Theta, who was beside her, whispered smugly as Alpha ordered the girls to bow. They quickly complied, including Mira and the twins. This was the protocol. The only ones who didn't were Margaret, who was just employed by him, Alpha, who didn't bow to anyone, and Theta, who also had great pride after gaining her memory back. Victor didn't seem to mind. Oh, and Archie too. He was still stunned by all the pretty girls around was there too. The black circles around his eyes were proof that he was getting some new education, but the dirty look in his eyes proved that he still had a long way to go. Relax, Victor said with a firm voice, making the girls stand up and look at him. For most of you, this is the first time seeing me. My name is Victor von Weiss, your young master, he said, as he looked at the girls. Then, at Archie, that applies to you too. Did you sign the contract? Victor asked. Young master, Archie didn't continue as Alpha handed the contract to Victor. I made him do it, she said, making Victor nod as he glanced at it and then quickly stored it. Good, you are now working for me, Victor said, making Archie nod. He might have paid with his freedom, but becoming a player was worth it. That bastard cousin of his would soon feel his wrath. We will speak about what happened in the cave later. Alpha will give me a report about your performance. He didn't mention anything about players as the chicks were present here, too. And the girls were ordered to speak nothing of this. It was a sort of training for them. Now, I will go inside and call you one by one after a while. Mina, Mana, Mira, Alpha, Theta, and Margaret, follow me inside. I need to talk to you about something. He said, then strode quickly to the office inside as the girls watched. Don't worry, the young master just wants to inquire about your class. Just answer truthfully if he asked you about anything. And try to impress him. Theta whispered to Ruby as she ran following Victor. Ruby nodded as they watched them go inside. Would she be able to be a part of his inner circle someday? First of all, I am happy to see you all safe, Victor said as he sat down with the girls at the main office that the chicks prepared for him. It was pretty lavish. This is the file about the girls' performance. Alpha quickly gave him a big file with every girl's reported class and skills. In addition to that, it had their evaluation from her perspective. Oh, not bad, but I have more important things to discuss with you, Victor said as he quickly leafed through the file. What? Alpha asked as she took her seat beside Theta and crossed her legs. I didn't want to rush things, but the situation is getting messier outside, and I seem to have been creating enemies at an accelerated rate. I keep having this ominous feeling that something very bad will happen very soon. So, he said as he squeezed Lily's hand, she also had such a feeling. The girls frowned a little. You are my most trusted allies and followers, that's why I am telling you this. He added, making Mira feel a little shy but warm inside. She did nothing to deserve his trust. She didn't know that he spent a lot of time with her in his previous life, and knew many things about her. I am going to establish 5 secret organizations. He went straight to the point, making the girls, especially Alpha, look at him with interest. And I want you and the rest of the girls to be assigned to them depending on their class and gifts. He added as Lily started brewing him a cup of coffee using a brewer that was placed there by Chick 17. Like the one I am creating? Alpha asked. Yes, yours will be the first organization. It will be called the Fragrant Shadow, an information collecting organization. It is called that name for a few reasons. The first is that it will be mostly made up of girls. And the second reason is that it will be using the soul wine as its main weapon. It has a peculiar smell. And I already gave someone your contact with that name. He said, making Alpha squint her eyes. Alpha, you will be the head of this. And its main purpose is to collect info, sell info and build a network of spies around the world and all the families. Victor added. Like that Archie? Alpha asked. She didn't like the name Fragrant Shadow, it felt silent but deadly. Like something dirty. Yes, I want spies everywhere. We must get those guys who were thrown away by their families and use them to our advantage. I want you to be so scary that no one would dare assault you for fear of their darkest secrets being disclosed. Everyone has a secret, he explained. Alpha nodded. I want that girl, Camellia. She added. Oh, why? Victor asked in surprise. That girl didn't seem interesting at all. Her class as analyst, she was a great help in the dungeon. And would be a great help cross-examining the data we get. She explained, making Victor look at Lily. She was Camelia's master. You can have her, Lily said quickly. Fine then, that's settled. Now to the second organization. It will be called the Purple Crow. It is an assassins organization that will be led by Lily, now. Due to a certain problem, Lily might not be able to manage it for now. Sonora would be responsible for it as its vice leader. Victor glanced at Lily, who nodded. Those Von Krona spies were getting annoying lately, not letting her leave the mansion without her young master's disguise ability. She was wondering how her young master was planning to get rid of them. You will have to populate its ranks with all kinds of scum, and only the most trusted can be allowed into its secrets, and no one should know who the true master is. Victor added. Don't worry, young master. My sister has already found quite a few bad kids who need education. We have already begun training them, Lily said. Wait, your sisters left some criminal kids unsupervised and came here? Victor asked as he turned to Lily. Yup, we are training them using the oldest method in the book. We threw them in a cave with limited food, and we will let them fight it off. About 50% should survive, she added, making the rest of the girls shiver a little. Was her perception of death always this screwed? Isn't that a little cruel? Mira hesitatingly asked. She knew about the family's training, her father told her. But still, don't worry, those kids are bad, the kind that would slit your throat in your sleep to get the phone under your pillow. If they die, they deserve it, she said, making the girls relax a little. Wouldn't controlling those scumbags be problematic? Margaret asked this time. Not if you leave a bomb in their bodies, Lily replied, making the girls shiver again as they looked at Lily with some fear. Don't look at me like that. It was the young master's idea. Kai was the one who got me the bomb from the family's laboratory. Lily complained. Okay, that's enough about that. Victor quickly changed the subject. The third organization will be called Golden Dragon. It will be headed by Arya. Victor said. I want to be a part of this. Margaret quickly interrupted. I didn't say what it was for yet. Victor exclaimed. Isn't it a financial organization to build wealth and launder your dirty money? Margaret asked, making Victor nod. True, that's a part of their mission. Then I want that. Using my body to attract snakes in the dungeon is enough fighting for me. I now want to use it to attract real money. She said with a seductive smile, causing Victor to look at the file on the table, hiding his unsettling soul. Fine then, but you must know that Golden Dragon will be separate from my normal business. I will not be backing them directly. And no one must know that they belong to me. Victor warned. I am prepared, Margaret said. Do you want to get away from the family? Mira asked, a little surprised. Wouldn't young masters usually use their family's power? Yes, the family situation is very turbulent, and my position in the family might change at any moment, so I want to make sure to be able to have my own force before that, and this is better as I really hate the fact that those guys are following my every move through my finances. He added. Wouldn't making Miss Arya or Margaret the head of a financial organization sends a clear message that it is yours? Mana asked. It is. A secret organization. Arya and Margaret should find some pawn to put in the management position. They would be responsible for the management behind the scenes, and I want the organization to engage in player merchandise trade too. Though at a smaller scale first. Victor said. If you are trusting me with all that money, I might get greedy and take the company for myself, Margaret quickly said with a cheeky smile. Then I would get greedy too and take your body for myself after that. he said, making her chuckle, and making the girls a little jealous of their open flirting. Especially Lily, who considers Margaret her main love rival, not having met Lynn yet. That gave me an idea, Victor suddenly said, striking the table with his palm. Maybe we will do a play where I dump you and you swear revenge. Or even better, a little act of you stealing my money and dumping me if the family ever punished me. He added, making her nod. She didn't like it, but that would solve the problem of her connection to him. Then the fourth organization, Mina asked quickly to stop the flirting between them. The Master's Fist. It would be a criminal organization, responsible for recruiting criminals and smugglers. Its target is to provide hands for any client who pays well. Especially the other organizations we created. Victor said, I will leave it in the hand of one of the chicks, until I get someone more suitable. He said as he looked at the girls, none of them wanted anything to do with that, should he scam another girl. Ouch. Lily was pinching his arm. She read his dirty thoughts. Was his expression this obvious? And the fifth? Lily asked. It would be a free players guild, Victor said with an evil smile. Guilds would not appear until after the reckoning, but he plans to make one secretly earlier. Like in games. Wouldn't that go against the Players' Council's rules? Alpha asked as her eyes sparkled. The Players' Council was her enemy. There are already a few hidden guilds. We will also keep it a secret for now, just recruit trusted and rogue players with no backing. Theta would be responsible for it with your sisters. As no one really knows that you work for me and you might even be able to use this against your family, Alpha would help you find a suitable base. Victor said, making Theta frown a little, then squeeze her fist and nod. She was feeling useless lately. And it was about time she started working to get what should be hers. But how can we get enough money? The stuff you gave us and we stole from the brothel is already spent on the girls, buying this mountain, and expanding this place. We need more untraceable money. Margaret asked. We can steal a little more from that guy Troy. When we get rid of him, maybe mask it as a theft, and I already have a scheme to launder some money. The family might even cut me off a little after that. In a week or two Alpha will accompany me there. Victor replied mysteriously. After that, I will give you some projects to start. In a year or two, we should be rich enough to not worry about financing. He added, making Margaret look at him with interest. Wondering what his plans were. What about us, young master? Don't you have some work for us? Mina asked after some hesitation. He didn't give them any missions. The two of you should just be personal maids. You can also warm my bed. Isn't that enough? He asked, making them blush. That was enough. I will also task you with taking care of this base and the mansion, just supervise the work. He added. What about me? Mira asked this time after getting some courage. Other than also being my bed warming maid, I have a plan for you, but it is still too early for it. But I will need you to be a great actress first. The best of the best. Arya should have already shown you the script I sent her. Victor said. She did. But young master, is it really okay to film something like that? I didn't know it earlier, but now that I am a player. Isn't this new movie about a poor girl becoming a player and then fighting her evil boyfriend who became a demon in a dungeon? She asked, diverting the talk from the bed warming maid thing. It was still too early for that. They have to hold hands first, and why does he keep avoiding looking straight at her? Was she still dirty from the dungeon? She had already showered twice. Her skin is already looking tender. Ahm, exactly. I want all people who become players to use your movie to explain to others what players are. I even have some nice candidates for the evil boyfriend. His charisma and luck would make this movie a success. Victor explained, making Mira and the girls frown, not really getting what he was talking about. You will know what I meant at the right time, he said. Now, let's examine the girls one by one and decide which of you would manage them. He added. It was time to find what he had got. Chapter 188. Evil Class. The first one to enter was Beta, who was a little nervous. You got back your memories? Victor asked. She nodded. My name was Triss, but if possible, I don't want to use it ever again, she said while keeping her eyes down. I don't mind, but the past is the past, just remember that, and if you have any unsolved problems, tell Alpha or Lily when you feel ready. Victor said with a soft smile. Those girls all had dark pasts. Now, what's your class? He asked, although he already knew. I am a sharpshooter, she replied, making him smile. Ever since Hilda began to train the girls in firearms, he had noticed that she was a little too trigger-happy, as if she found her calling. And that was quickly reflected in her class. That's good. I am dividing the girls into many teams. I will assign you to work with Theta to create a guild. Are you okay with that? Victor asked. Beta nodded quickly. As long as I stay with my sisters. She added with some embarrassment. That would be up to them, but I think it is a good idea for all of you to form the core members of this new guild, Victor said as he wrote something on the file in front of him, then took out a ring and gave it to her, making her freeze for a second. This is a gift for you. It is a storage ring like the one Alpha and Theta were using, Victor said, making her a little ashamed of misunderstanding. It is also a sign that you are mine from now on. He said, making her blush as she realized that she didn't misunderstand at all. She didn't mind as she quickly took the ring and put it on her finger. She wanted him to do it but was too embarrassed to ask with the girls smirking at her. That's all, unless you want to tell me something? Victor asked. No, young master. She quickly bowed and left the room with a flushed face. She wouldn't be able to sleep tonight, none of the girls will. Ellipsis. Ruby watched nervously as the girls entered the room one by one and then left with a blush and a ring on their fingers. WTF. She tried to ask a girl she knew well, but that girl only blushed with a dreamy look, telling her that she would know once she entered. Would she also get a ring? If it were from that hot young master she didn't mind at all. But can he really take care of all the girls? Was she really worthy of him? What was she thinking? Ruby, a voice called. Ruby, Ruby. Why are you so absent-minded? It's your turn. A girl who left the room with a broad smile poked her arm, startling her. Ah. It was her turn. She got a little nervous as she straightened her clothes, then pushed the door and made her way inside. Where young Master Victor was sitting at his desk sipping on a hot cup of coffee. He looked dashing. Let's see, Ruby, right? Victor asked with a smile that made her little heart skip a beat. Yes, she said. Your class? He asked. A healer, she said as she noticed something wrong. He seemed a little injured. Was it her imagination? Can you tell me about your past? He asked. I don't know my parents. I was raised in an orphanage. I met Rob, Theta there. We were sold to that baron, then I had to work at that place for 6 months when Mistress Alpha came and saved us, she quickly summarized. Oh, how many customers did you service there? Victor asked rudely as he inspected her. She should have been angry as he was using the same gaze those filthy men used, but she was not. A lot, she said as she looked down in shame. Don't get me wrong. I am just curious why you are lying to me. He said, making her freeze and then look at him, not daring to speak as the girls who surrounded him looked at her with some hostility. What does the young master mean? She asked, a little ashamed. An eldritch healer is a very peculiar class. He said as he gestured to Alpha, who was about to slit Ruby's throat to step down. I didn't use it against any of the girls, I just healed them normally. She said as tears welled in her eyes as she looked down. When she saw her class and skills in the dungeon, she instinctively knew how evil they were. It's okay, I know. Victor's voice sounded this time next to her. As in the next moment, she felt her head buried in a warm chest. Just don't lie to us again, we are your family from now on. He said, making her eyes tear a little more, wetting his thin shirt, making it transparent, and revealing his firm muscles behind it. She quickly stepped back in embarrassment as she noticed that. He smelled nice though. Still no skill, huh? He murmured as he appraised her. Name, Ruby. Level, 3. Class, Eldritch Healer. Authority, 3. Strength, 25. Agility, 25. Intelligence, 26. Luck, 13. Charm, 27. Order, 10. Skills. Status Absorb, A. Eldritch Heal, C. Minor Soul Absorb, C. Fear, D. Pain Tolerance, D. Flesh Eating, E. Charm, E. Sexual Arts, E. Spear Arts, F. Kissing, F. Dagger Arts, F. Minor Curse Arts, F. Fate Status, Fate's Power, F. Fate's Direction, Neutralizing, Fate's Design, Undefined, Total, F. Skill, she asked, but he ignored her and changed the subject. Are you feeling fine now? He asked. She kept her head down, not realizing how overpowered her class might get if she were groomed the right way. Don't worry, from now on you will work for Theta. Is that okay with you? He asked as he glanced at Theta, who smiled sweetly at him. Yes, she nodded. She liked Robin, she was her first and only friend. Then take this, you are now mine. He said, as under the girl's envious eyes he took a ring and personally placed it on her finger, making her almost faint of happiness as she looked at it. She always dreamed of such a day when she was at that place, not like this, but she didn't mind. Now, do you know what the Eldritch Heal means? He asked softly, waking her up and making all the girls listen carefully, except Alpha, who knew what it meant. The system says it allows me to heal any damage on the target, but I have to sacrifice something of equivalent value, she said. Exactly, a normal healer uses his mana, but that limits him to his level. You are different, you can use anything with energy, even living beings, your level will affect just your speed. He said, you must promise me though, never use your own health or soul for that, he added as he patted her head softly. She said as she enjoyed the feeling of his hand. Take this, he said handing her a bag of gems, try to use them in exchange for healing my soul, I was injured a few days ago. He said, making the girls look at him again. Is this why he felt strange today? Would you trust her like that? She already lied to us. Alpha suddenly asked angrily. She knew quite well how scary Eldritch classes were, all of them had some pretty evil soul powers. I trust her, she is already mine, she would never betray me. Would you? Victor asked Ruby casually, the reason he didn't fear her was due to his authority. Any status skill affecting skill or curse would need his approval, so she can't hurt him. He was also very curious about her, what kind of suffering did she have to go through to get such a class? Never. Young master, she said with a blush as she felt a strange warmth in her heart, hopefully, he will not betray her too. Ellipsis. Malcolm's bloodied fingers slid from the throat of the now dead boy in front of him, he didn't want to kill him, but he would never risk having mercy on his enemy again. Never again, he sighed as he looked at the corpse under the dim light coming from the candle that was slowly burning on the floor. He first thought that the kids those evil assassins girls brought were like him, orphans who only got into crime life by sheer bad luck. But he couldn't be more wrong. Most of those are fiends in human flesh. They were the worst of the worst. He helped a girl who was bitten by a snake yesterday, but that B*TCH not only did not thank him, she almost stabbed him with a screwdriver when he finished bandaging her leg. Thankfully, the screwdriver hit the practice book in his abdomen, giving him a good chance to step away from the girl whom he left and ran away. She was 1 or 2 years younger than him, when did she have the time to get this evil? This morning the boy who was now dead at his feet tried to kill him too by tricking him. But he was ready this time when the boy tried to stab him and strangled him, this was his first kill. But after staying here for 3 days, he didn't feel remorse as he rummaged through the boy's clothes for food. He was starving, thankfully he found a chocolate bar that the boy was saving, he quickly ate as he retreated to his hideout, a small hidden chamber in the cave that can only be entered through a well-hidden passage. He sat there then took out a candle that he got from that kid in addition to the now damaged practice book and began to practice the shadow steps explained in it, he will need this to survive. One of the girls gave it to him before throwing him in the cave. She told him that he was the weakest one here, and this was her gift for him as her first disciple, he didn't feel any gratitude for her. But still, he needed to learn this. How long would the evil girls keep them locked up in here? What if they forgot about them? He really wanted to wait by the cave's locked entrance, but that place was the most dangerous spot. Chapter 189, Gifts. In order for Ruby to heal him, Victor went to the not-so-little bedroom connected to the office and took off his shirt. He silently thanked his late brother Nick for such a considerate arrangement, as he carefully sat on the bed. Victor wanted this done with the healing quickly as he was beginning to have a hard time not looking at the hot girls entering his office one after another. Margaret and the twins wanted to watch the healing process, but Victor only allowed Lily inside to guard the door. Ruby blushed as she carefully sat beside him and looked at Victor's bare chest. Although this was not her first time seeing a man naked by a long shot, no one in her memory could compare to Victor. He was dashing. Wah, what kind of damage does the young master want to heal? Ruby asked with a blush. There was not even a scar on his perfect skin. Well, keep it a secret. A few days ago I split my soul. Think of it like cutting an arm, it is a very nasty wound. He said as Lily gasped, although she didn't fully get it, she didn't think that his injury was this bad. Ruby didn't get it at all. Just think of the soul as you put your hand here, Victor said as he pointed to a certain point on his stomach, making her nod. She would try. She carefully put her hand on a certain point above his navel where he instructed her and began to focus her healing energy as the bag of gems beside her became empty. It was working and she could feel his injured soul, it was like a piece of silk flowing under her hand with some cut edges and loose threads, those were the injury. The healing took 15 minutes. Unfortunately, despite having enough gems for energy, a soul injury was very demanding, and Ruby was only able to heal about half of it. In the end, she collapsed on Victor's chest and lost consciousness. That was to be expected, as Victor literally split his soul in half. He just told that idiot in the ring otherwise to fool him, and make him overestimate his power. Victor slowly sat down and then let the fainted Ruby lay in his place as Lily helped him wear his shirt back. Did it work? She asked. Somewhat. Let her rest for a while. Let's continue the interviews, he said as patted Lily's head and then slowly removed her veil to test his self-control. He could look at her safely now. But not for long, as his self-discipline was now only comparable to a normal pervert like Tom. After 2 minutes and 12 seconds, Victor let go of her, then quickly turned and hurried to the office while wiping the blood off his nose. Lily carefully put her veil back with a chuckle. Ellipsis. 6 hours later, the interviews were over. Victor looked with satisfaction at the chart in his hand. The 63 brothel girls, in addition to Beta, her sisters, and Camellia, a total of 70 new players were added to his team. Beta and her sisters all got fighting classes, which probably has something to do with their bloodline. The brothel girls had varying ones, just as he wanted. Some had generic ones like cook and maid, while others got some seduction, charm, and interrogation-oriented ones. He doesn't plan to let them serve any men though. He's a selfish boy who doesn't share his toys. In addition to that, there were 7 sorcerers and 5 tamers, which was not bad at all. Only 3 other girls were really interesting: Ruby, an eldritch healer, a dark paladin who had some interesting hobbies, and a curse witch named Tina whom Victor didn't like at all. She had a very, very dirty mouth. According to her, she cursed a lot at the men in the brothel and it became a bad habit. Finally, the assassin girls, who turned from normally deadly to super deadly. All of them got the assassin class with some minor variations. No surprises there. He was forgetting someone. No, not Archie. Victor turned and looked at Mira, who was competing with Lily, massaging his shoulders. Now that his soul was somewhat healed by Ruby, he can enjoy his hobbies again to a certain extent. I totally forgot about you, he said as he took a ring and before she could comprehend what happened put it on her finger. It was a little different from the ones he gave to the brothel girls earlier, as if it were of a higher quality. Ah, thanks, she said as she blushed. Why are things always reversed with him? She asked herself. Shouldn't they date a little first? Train your skills secretly and don't tell anyone that you became a player, not even your father, as he will report it to the family, Victor told her. Why? Mira asked. She didn't like hiding things from her daddy. They will ask unnecessary questions. And in case of a family emergency, I would have to get all the players under me to serve the family. They already know about the twins, Hilda, Arya, and Lily. That's already a lot of player servants for a normal heir. They know about Kai as well, Lily interjected. That guy can go and die for all I care. I don't care about men, Victor replied. What about me, young master? Margaret asked. I filed you as an employee. They have no power over you, and they don't know about Alpha, the girls, and Alex. You should know that, he quickly clarified. I didn't mean that. I meant my gift. Where is my gift? Didn't you bring me something from your trip? She explained, extending her slender hand as Lily squeezed his shoulder a little stronger too. She wanted hers too. Alex had already told her that they went shopping for gifts. Oh, I almost forgot, Victor said as he took a big bag from his storage ring and began to rummage through it. First, Margaret, this is for you, Victor said, giving Margaret a weird-shaped antique hairpin that had a big gem in it. This is? She asked, realizing something. Yes, it is an artifact. It is an escape artifact. It is called the Wing of Mir. The jewel takes about a week to recharge, which gives you a chance to use it once to escape danger and insta-travel to a distance of 2 miles. When I saw it, I thought of you when you were escaping from those horny goblins at the dungeon back then, he said with a smile, making her blush. True, this thing was extra useful if she bit more than what she can chew while fighting. Now, the next one is for both of you, Victor said to the twins as he took 2 identical bracelets. Those 2 are called Omega Switch bracelets. They can allow you to switch places in an instant. I thought they could be useful in battle in case one of you got injured, he said as they put them on with a smile. They are both a rank, but have the restriction that requires the 2 wearers to be about the same body build, so make sure that you stay slim. If one of you got too fat they will not work, he said, making both of them glare at him. Don't worry, we will get fat together. They spat at the same time and then began to chuckle. Suit yourselves, he sighed as he took a very old huge crossbow and threw it to Theta. She could barely receive it. This is? She asked with some annoyance as she had some difficulty holding it. It was as tall as she was. It's obviously a very old crossbow, he said, making her pout. It has a very low accuracy, he added, making her eyes shine. Thanks, she said, using this thing she bet on massive critical damage in exchange for the accuracy rate. She was not entirely happy though, she wanted something more feminine. Take this too, I remembered you when I saw it, he said, giving her a cat-shaped hair ornament. It was not an artifact, but she smiled sweetly when she got it. She really likes cute stuff. Now, what is left is this. He took another thing and threw it to Alpha. I think it suits you, he said as she caught the metallic ball-shaped artifact with a frown. It had trace lines like some circuit diagrams on its brass-colored shell. It looked very mysterious, as if it were something from a video game. What is this? A bomb? She asked. You don't know. I got it from your family's vault, he asked. No, we don't have info about all the treasures our family got. That would require too much knowledge transfer from different people. That would hurt us as babies. They only teach us about the important treasures. She explained. This is an SSS-ranked treasure. Isn't that important enough? Your family was placing it with the rocks and minerals. They didn't know what it was. I guess they didn't have an appraiser with enough authority, he said, pointing to his eye. It is an eye? She asked. Yes, this thing is super amazing. It is called the Sky Eye. Something in its description about being one of the 21 immortal eyes, he added without care. What does it do? She asked as she licked her lips. For others, they might need to sacrifice an eye to try it, but for her, she was already missing one. Try it, he said. She hesitated as slowly removed the eye patch, making the girl gasp at the sight of the ugly scar left on her face reaching from her eyebrow to her cheek. That Titus was a monster. She didn't need to push the artifact in, as just as it was close enough to her eye socket it shone, and like mercury, it flew inside, making Alpha scream in pain and fall to her knee as she held her head covering her eye socket with her hand. The girls were a little scared, but watching Victor's calm face, they calmed down too and waited. It took 5 minutes for her to stand up again and open her new eye that shone with blue light. As she looked around, she looked very menacing with it. The eye has 3 functions. First, it can let you look and survey anything around you in a sphere of 5 miles as if you were looking from the sky, Victor explained. The second is that it has A-level appraisal powers. And, well, I will not reveal your secrets. He stopped talking as she glared at him. This is for you, Mira. Seeing that Alpha sat down and began to test her new eye, Victor quickly took out a pair of earrings and gave them to Mira. They are just normal earrings. But I thought they looked mystical and suited you well, he said, making her take them with a blush as Lily, who was still expecting her gift, glared at Victor. And finally, my Lily, Victor said as he took a gold chain that had a golden pearl at its end, making Alpha look at it with great interest. This chain is a protection artifact, but the most important thing is not it, he said as he put it by himself on the blushing Lily's neck. He had attached the soul pearl to the indestructible chain he got earlier from his family's vault. The pearl is more valuable. Much more, he explained, then said the next few words only in Lily's ear. It contains half of my soul. It is already yours, he said, making her open her mouth in surprise. Then, blushing more, she stroked it carefully with a smile, making the girls wonder what this was. Before they could ask, they were thrown out of the room. Now, you girls can go arrange your teams. I need to talk to Alpha privately. Oh, and take Ruby, who is eavesdropping behind the door, with you, Victor casually said, making all the girls look at the bedroom door, where Ruby, who woke up 30 minutes earlier, was supposedly hiding. Chapter 190, Wedding Planning. Victor, Lily, and Alpha were the only ones left sitting in the office as the girls left. What happened to that Hannah? Alpha quickly asked. Although she never met her, she cared about her family members and was sure Victor would not let that girl escape his clutches. Lily perked her ears too. Was that Hannah the owner of that unique smell on her young master? That's what I wanted to talk to you about, Victor said as he began to place a series of things on the table. About 30 artifacts. I raided the vault in Golden Waterfall Town. Most of the things are just materials and pills. Those are the artifacts I found there. I want you to specify which ones you know about so that I can auction them. Alpha frowned. Why would he auction the good stuff? She will play along for now. I know about 3, the truth glasses, the blood mace, and the 3-edged sword, she said, making Victor quickly put them to the side and store the other in a ring, then throw it to Alpha. Use those to arm your girls, he said. What about Hannah, and why are you planning to auction those things? She asked. I am planning to get that girl to join my harem team. I can't let her find out that I was the one who drugged her and raided her family vault, Victor explained. You drugged her? You are going to scam her too? Alpha looked at him with contempt. What did you do? Gave her to some gang and now you will go play hero and save her? She asked. I thought of that possibility, but she would be a fool if she fell for it. He said, I just left her to be auctioned off and will go buy her and launder some money in the process. The auction is next week and you will accompany me. Victor said, making Alpha look at him as if she wished she could strangle him. He had just sold her cousin and was 100% cool about it. Isn't that a little cruel, young master? Lily was the one who asked this time. No, I bet she would have done worse to me if I fell into her hands. And she is an alchemist. I need her. I can't let her go and save that bastard Sebastian. Victor said. Sebastian, Alpha exclaimed. Ah yes, I almost forgot to tell you. That fool was with her too. Didn't I tell you before, that he is a scion with a fate to steal all of your family's heritage? That's what I believe anyway. How can a man end up with fateful encounters with two heirs of the most wanted family on the planet otherwise? He explained, making Lily look at Alpha. What did he mean by most wanted family? He never told her a thing about that. Maybe she would ask him later, she thought as she touched the pearl on her chest. Sebastian, that scumbag was fooling Hannah too, calling her elder sister, hee. That guy must be at least 10 years older than her. Victor said, making Alpha frown. What did you do to him? Wouldn't he be after you? She asked. He only fought with Alex. And as expected of a scion, despite being a lot weaker, he almost castrated him. Thankfully I managed to trick him into the vault and lock him inside without letting him see my face. Victor said, making Alpha blink and then nod. That is feasible, the family vaults are indestructible. Wouldn't he have some artifact to ask for help? She asked. The vault is pretty much impregnable without the right bloodline to open it. And I doubled down with an S-ranked sealing talisman. Even if that bastard died, his soul would be trapped inside. Victor explained, though not really sure if this would be enough. He quickly took his phone and texted Kai to build a resort on top of the ruins of the villa, and to make sure not to dig anything, just level the ground and build over it. Oh, and to make sure that the toilets would be in a certain position, no one would think of digging down a toilet. What are you writing about, young master? Lily asked. Just making sure that no one would dig up that vault for the next 20 years, Victor said as he pressed send. Are you sure? Kai replied. Just do it. Just make sure no one digs below 1 meter. Victor sent again as the girls watched. Alpha, if there is nothing else you want to ask about, you can go see how many of your girls are left. Margaret probably took all the useful ones. Victor said, making Alpha stand up, shoot him a glare, then look at Lily and leave the room without a word. Don't blame her, she is just jealous of you, Victor said to Lily just as Alpha was closing the door, making her almost stumble. What kind of bullshit was that bastard spouting? She quickly shut the door with all of her strength, making the entire factory shake. Young master, you must stop teasing her like that, Lily said as Victor chuckled. Alpha is a unique kind of girl, she has been through a lot, so the best way to make her really like me is to keep myself always in her mind. He said. I don't think she is liking you, Lily interjected. Don't worry, I am just setting things right for now, he said with a smile. He had a certain theory he needed to test, and Alpha would make a great subject, but that is for later. Young master, what did you mean by saying that Alpha's family is the most wanted family on the planet? Lily asked. Well, I promised her not to tell, but if it's you that's okay. Victor said. Her family is called the Von Richter. Have you heard of them? Victor asked. Lily shook her head. They did some very nasty things in the past. Alpha said they were framed. Anyway, the council declared them an enemy, and their family was uprooted, leaving just a few hidden heirs, so if anyone knew who Alpha really was, she would be in grave danger. Make sure not to tell anyone, Victor said seriously as Lily nodded. Now, I have some news, some of which are bad, some are not, he said as he turned to look out the window. A few days ago I had a conversation with my father. He said that due to the family's situation I can't marry you as the main wife right now. Victor said with a sigh. I don't care about that, she said as she looked away while touching the pearl on her chest. According to his orders, I will be proposing to a certain girl tomorrow at school. He said, making Lily gasp and look at him. I understand. That's the young master's commitment to his family, she said casually, hiding her annoyance. Her name is Lynn, she is Linda's sister or cousin, something like that. That's the official story anyway, Victor said. Official, Lily, despite her annoyance, had to ask. Well, this is a secret that I shouldn't know, but Lynn is the real Linda, and that Linda who ran away was just a maid that took her place because she was sick, Victor explained, making Lily a little shocked. Can such drama exist in real life? Really? She asked. Yup, I met her before. She is a good girl who suffered a lot. I think the two of you will be good friends, and I will only marry her as a concubine, so you don't have to be worried about your position. He said, making Lily glare at him and then nod. She never cared about titles, as long as she can stay with him. I understand, she repeated. After that, I will go to Nuller City and propose to a second girl. He added again, making her freeze again, then squeeze her little fist hard until her knuckles turned white. A second girl, young master, how many girls are you going to propose to? She asked with a little sour voice. My father told me about them when I met him a few days ago. He wanted a double wedding to boost his image. You heard him when he told me about her the other day. Her name is Nova, so, just 3 for now, he said, putting the blame on his father. For now, wait, 3, I understand, she said as she looked down in grief. Her young master is a pervert. A bad big pervert. Why are you sad? This is good for you, he said, making her look at him with an angry frown, not knowing what to say. Was he making fun of her? That girl Nova, didn't you hear what father said back then? She cheated on her fiancé with some stupid guy. Victor said. Yeah, what does that have to do with me? Do you want her to cheat on you too? She spat with some anger. Not that. She will never accept to marry me, as her beloved is a scion who goes by the name Thomas Watson. Victor said, making Lily, who was looking out of the window, look back at him with wide open eyes. Tom, that peeping Tom, she asked. Yes, bad taste, I know. Imagine what would happen if I told her that I know who her beloved is. He said. You will blackmail her? Lily asked. On the contrary, not only will I help hide him from her family, but I will also help her meet and elope with him, Victor said. If she did believe you, she would do exactly as you tell her to, but what is that good for? She will not fall in love with you, not very easily anyway, Lily interjected, getting a little angry again. You missed the point, my dear Lily. I don't want her to love me, I want her to escape the wedding. He said as he caught Lily's hand and dragged her toward him and making her blush. Escape? Why? She asked. Because the wedding will carry on with or without her. Many important guests are going to attend. It would not be a good thing for the families involved if the bride escaped. Victor said, making her frown a little. She was getting at something there. You want to sabotage the wedding? No, if you made all the parties cooperate. You want to? She froze as she looked at him in shock. Her young master is simply too evil. It would be very risky, and the plan needs some things ironed out. He said, I already told you, the only way to keep us together is marriage, and this is a great chance to let some members of your family bear witness to that. So, he said as he got on one knee. Will you marry me? He asked with a bright smile.